DEA, an anti-marijuana group, they deny allegations they conspired during the rescheduling process, you guys. That's right, your favorite prohibitionist group, Project Sam. The Drug Enforcement Administration, better known as the DEA, and the prohibitionist group, Smart Approaches to Marijuana, better known as SAM, have categorically denied allegations that they illegally conspired together during the Biden administration's marijuana rescheduling process. And I think it's fair to note that Sam also was advisor to Obama under his administration, and we all know that Biden is a third term for Obama. So nonetheless, I'm going to keep it rolling. In a response to a motion seeking to remove the DEA from the rescheduling proceedings over alleged ex parte communications with Sam, the agency on Monday said it unequivocally denies the charge and requested a dismissal of the motion from Hemp for Victory and Village Farms International. In a quote, Movant's own evidence fails to demonstrate that any unlawful ex parte communication took place. DEA said in its brief with the administrative law judge, the ALJ, overseeing the case, and in another quote, the Montalvis would have this tribunal embark on a fishing expedition in search of evidence to support these sweeping unsupported claims, which at best can be categorized as gossip, not ex parte communications. You guys, look at that. They're trying to call it gossip. Oh, man. They think they're on E! Channel or something now all of a sudden on Talk Soup. The original filing included screenshots of social media posts where the group's president, Kevin Sabet, indicated he had private conversations with DEA officials about the rescheduling efforts as Sam rallied opposition to the reform and urged the agency to keep marijuana in Schedule 1. 1 week prior to DOJ's publication of the proposed rule, Sabet posted on X that he could confirm DEA Administrator Ann Milligram wouldn't sign the notice, citing 2 confidential sources inside the DEA and another outside the DEA with intimate knowledge. The agency said that doesn't amount to an ex parte communications, however, and in a quote, the tribunal correctly questions the seriousness of the remedies sought by the Movantis and as such should deny the motion, they say. It should, in the new filing referring to comments from the judge last week, DEA added that the cannabis organizations behind the motion failed to, in quotes, identify any precedent that would support removing an agency from its own rulemaking process. The only authority cited by the Movantis on this point simply supports the notion that specific individuals may be removed from the proceeding under the appropriate circumstances. They say it said, pointing out that there is no accusation of any wrongdoing by DEA attorneys involved in the current proceedings on rescheduling. And in short, the Movantis arguments are completely without merit, they say. Sam also filed a response with the ALJ on Monday, arguing that the allegations, in quote, fail on their face to suggest any improper contacts between Sam and the DEA, and therefore they can and should be quickly dispensed with by this tribunal, they say. The organization asserted that statutory unlawful ex parte communications would need to have occurred after the Justice Department posted its notice of proposed rulemaking, which is not explicitly alleged in the original motion. And in a quote, standing alone, the deficiency itself is sufficient to dismiss Movantis' speculation about supposed improper contacts, it said. Sam also cited media reports from outlets, including Marijuana Moment and the Wall Street Journal, as well as social media posts from supporters of the rescheduling effort that contained information about the process that had not yet been made publicly available. It argued that such reporting undermined the allegation that Sabet's communications were uniquely improper. In short, the motion is a transparent effort to smear both Sam and the DEA in an attempt to eliminate it from the proceeding, one of the strongest voices opposing rescheduling of marijuana, Sam said. The tribunal should deny Movantis' invitation to create a sideshow requiring Sam and its counsel to expand more time and funds defending against unfounded attacks, and instead should permit Sam to focus on the merits of the proceedings. After the motion was filed with the DEA ALJ, John Mulrooney, the judge invited both the agency and Sam to respond. calling the nature of the alleged illegal communications serious. This comes just weeks before the initial December 2nd hearing before the ALJ on the government's proposal to move marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 of the Controlled Substances Act. And in a historic first, it was Attorneys General Merrick Garland and not the DEA's Milligram who signed the proposed rule to reschedule cannabis. The original motion said, in fact, as well as DEA's apparent indecision on the proposed rule warranted a change in the hearing structure. The judge, in turn, said that the prospect of removing an agency head from rulemaking that is responsible for overseeing would likely and correctly be deemed beyond the ALJ's Office of Jurisdiction. Last week, Mulrooney officially ruled on which of the agency's 25 selected witnesses for the hearing will be able to participate while laying out the procedure for the administrative process, including how pro and anti-reform speakers will be able to cross-examine one another. Separately, the judge last week denied a request from a cannabis and psychedelics researcher to postpone the upcoming rescheduling hearing over the agency's alleged improper blocking of witnesses, while arguing that the process should be halted at least until President-elect Donald Trump's administration comes into power so it can review the rulemaking. Mulrooney also rejected a veterans group petition to participate in the rescheduling hearing, which the organization called a travesty of justice that excludes key voices that would be affected by the potential policy change. And for what it's worth, Vice President Kamala Harris said recently that part of the reason for the delay in the administration's marijuana rescheduling effort is federal bureaucracy that slows things down, including the DEA. And in March, Harris also expressed some frustration with the bureaucratic process of rescheduling marijuana prior to DOJ's formal recommendation calling on DEA expediently finish the job. And while the Biden-Harris administration facilitated the review that led to the DOJ rescheduling proposal, Trump has also voiced support for the reform. And in Congress, numerous lawmakers have shared their own perspectives on the proposed reform with DEA and DOJ since the Schedule 3 announcement was made. And in August, for example, Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican from Iowa, raised concerns about the Biden administration's justification for recommending marijuana rescheduling, demanding answers to questions from federal agencies about how they arrived at that decision in what he described as a rushed and unconventional administrative process. A week earlier, top Democratic senators, including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat from New York, sent a separate letter to DOJ's Garland and DEA's Milligram urging the agency to, in quotes, promptly finalize the rule to reschedule marijuana. And while rescheduling would remove certain research barriers and free up state-licensed cannabis businesses to take federal tax deductions under the IRS code known as 280E, it would not federally legalize marijuana as the Congressional Research Service, the CRS, has made known in multiple recent reports. And meanwhile, 2 additional congressional lawmakers have joined the ranks of the GOP members who are challenging what they say is unusual process that led the Biden administration to propose rescheduling of marijuana, expressing concern about how the review was carried out and demanding answers. Representative Doug LaMaffa, that's right, he's a famous prohibitionist that we cover often here at High and 9 News. He's a Republican from California. He condemned the Biden administration's push to reclassify marijuana, as well as legislative efforts to enact bipartisan cannabis banking reform, because he says the policy changes would prop up this immoral industry and give a green light to the evil that comes from drug use, you guys. Man, oh man, you need to evolve a little bit on that, buddy. Senator Bill Cassidy, Republican from Louisiana, also blasted the Biden administration over what he described as repeated refusals from federal agencies to brief Congress on its plans and justification for rescheduling marijuana, which he argues fuels speculation that the proposed policy change is politically motivated. And similarly, 25 GOP congressional lawmakers sent a public comment letter in July opposing the administration's planned rescheduling of marijuana and specifically alleging the government's recommendation was based on politics rather than science, you guys. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Yeah, well, I've tried a bunch of administrative cases. I don't know how many times you've been in front of ALJs, Omar. I've been in a lot. I've lost count. And what I'm still confused about is that I'm used to having two parties, and we put witnesses in the witness chair, and then each party gets to inquire. In this one, where they're putting 25 parties in there, okay? And I don't know if each is going to have a witness that's going to represent them. They're just going to do presentations. If each side gets to have their attorneys examine and cross-examine the witnesses, I don't know. And I mean, I'm a bit confused about that. I think it's going to be a dog and pony show, quite frankly. The other thing I want to say is I've worked with law enforcement agencies before, okay? And I know that there's a back door that every one of them has to all sorts of people and information. Okay. And for the DEA to scoff at, well, you're having improper ex parte communications with Kevin Sabet, and they're like, oh, I would never do such a thing. Bullshit. Okay.
Right?
The next thing I knew, the FBI was giving us information, back door. They were breaking into places and doing sneak and peeks. There was a lot of shit that goes on where we don't get to see it. And they tried to keep me insulated because I had a law license and I didn't want to get caught up in them doing illegal shit. But I'm telling you, there is backdoor information going back and forth. The DEA does not want to reschedule marijuana. Kevin Sabet doesn't want to do it. And whether you're sitting at a cocktail party chatting with the head of the DEA or some deputy, or whether you're sneaking in the back door and sitting down to have an ex parte meeting, I'm confident that Sabet's been getting to the DEA and telling them, we're behind you, we'll help you, we'll support you, we don't want this to go forward. I don't know what that's going to mean in a hearing. If the court has the authority to give the remedy that they're being asked to give, which is to exclude DEA, I don't know if they have an authority. But we'll see. This is going to be a Keystone Cop affair.
How awesome would it be, Dale, to see Matt Gaetz as a special prosecutor subpoena Kevin Sabet's phone records?
I would like to see.
Send me whatever you're smoking this morning, Jason,
and then
please.
shit their pants after stuff like that.
Oh, that would be so good.
Someone really go after him.
That would be so good. That would be so good.
Depends on how you
I mean,
define
I would
awesome.
love to see that, but I really do think, I don't like, fuck Kevin Sabet, fuck Project Sam, but I don't know that Matt Gaetz has what it takes to debate him or go.
He
go
100% does, bro. He's the most talented member in Congress.
He's used to talking to teenagers. Come on.
Stop the ridiculousness, bro.
When you're in front of the
Unfound
judge,
allegations.
he'll tell you to shut up and sustain objection. See, this is where Omar and I understand this. The courtroom is an artificial transfer of information. Just because you think you have something to say doesn't mean you get to say it. The judge will tell you to shut up, sustain objections, and you don't get to say it. It's an artificial environment that until you've done it a bunch of times, people get upset, they get pissed. I've had junior associates just fall on their face because they don't know what to do when a judge sustains an objection and they don't know where to go with that. Okay? It's a completely different world. And Omar and I have both been there, and we've had a great strategy, and the judge says, the objection sustained, move on. Now what do you do?
Yep.
I mean, many times the whole truth is not allowed in the courtroom, especially in federal court. And, for this ALJ, Administrative Law Judge, hearing, I think it's going to be more of a dog and pony show with no cross-examination under oath. And so without cross-examination, where you force the witnesses to answer questions under oath and under penalty of perjury, you can't really squeeze the truth out of them. And they're just going to get up and they're going to present whatever this information is. They're going to think it's going to sway the day. And it really will be theatrical presentations, not really neutral inquiry designed to get at the truth of cannabis. And if it were, there'd be a lot more on the table than deciding whether or not it should be Schedule 3. It would be more like, should it be scheduled at all? And that would be what's under discussion. So the fact that the cannabis advocates are going to be fighting for Schedule 3 and their opponents are fighting against Schedule 3 really shows what a limited conversation is happening. And it's not like a full airing out of all the issues. It is very performative and theatrical. At the same time, it's important to the cannabis industry that's been waiting to get out from under the yoke of Schedule 3, and they will leave no question that 280E is, of 280E, it'll leave no question that 280E is inapplicable as soon as Schedule 3 happens. So it's not going to be a Pyrrhic victory with no meaning at all. It will have practical consequences in real life, and that's why it should occur quickly. And
I have a question, Omar.
Conclusion. Say again?
I have a question for you. What good is it going to be to get rid of 280E when once it goes to Schedule 3, no one's going to be able to sell cannabis anyway, because none of those products will be, or every single one of those products will be deemed illicit, because they'll all fall under drug preclusion under the FDA, and no one is going to have enough money to get their SKUs through a whole FDA clearance.
Now, what's happening right now when everything is Schedule 1 and nobody is
but the FDA doesn't have jurisdiction over Schedule 1 drugs. That's the big difference. And now all of a sudden FDA is going to have jurisdiction, and so basically every single product on every single shelf is going to be deemed illicit.
They don't have an army of drug cops bigger than the DEA. FDA does not.
They could just send the DEA in and say, you know what, see, these are all Schedule 3 drugs. These are all deemed illicit. Da 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 da. Boom, done.
Yeah, they could do that, but they won't, and they haven't. They're not even going after the trap. The best thing the feds could do for regulated cannabis is to aggressively start targeting the traps, and then that would make regulated cannabis.
They're not going to do that. They're going to target regulated businesses before they target the trap, Omar. It's easier for them to go in. They know that the officers are going to be safe when they go in there and whatnot, because there's not weapons and everything.
All the adults are lined up in a row. They can just plink it.
Exactly. They have all the addresses, all the information. Boom, it's all there. Yep.
Do you think that's what the Trump administration might do?
No, I'm just saying in general. I'm saying that's what can happen. It was the same thing what happened with Biden administration to Schedule 3. Schedule 3 is a losing battle. Losing battle for the industry. Kiss the industry goodbye if it goes to Schedule 3.
Lies.
Nothing will change.
I think it's going to be the same cluster situation that we have right now, but without the 280E burden, and maybe with more pharmaceutical companies trying to figure out how they can get in on the action, not that they can formally get in on the action. And you'll see more patented molecules and substances. You'll see an explosion in IP claims and trade secrets and patent litigation. That's what's going to happen under Schedule 3. But it's not going to be an all-out war on regulated cannabis by the FDA enlisting the DEA.
Be surprised.
The Trump administration chooses to do that because they're imitating Duarte, and Trump wants to be a strongman and appease, the old people who he feels elected him, and he's going to do some Duarte Philippine-style strongman stunt.
Yeah,
Well,
but
none of that's going to happen. None of that's going to be able to happen because we're not going to be able to operate, because Schedule 3 drugs have to be bought from a fucking pharmacy.
Exactly.
And nobody, if you can't pay your 280E taxes, you're damn sure not going to be able to pay to get a DEA license.
Exactly.
Yeah, but what you guys are missing the point is if there's no serious federal enforcement action happening against state regulated cannabis under Schedule 1, why would it suddenly start under Schedule 3?
Because the FDA does not have jurisdiction now.
Enforcement. I'm not saying there's going to be enforcement. There's not going to be an industry anymore. Fucking, you can't go buy Oxycontin at a fucking trap at a licensed dispensary.
You think every dispensary is going to shut down if it goes to Schedule 3? That's not going to happen. We're going to continue. We're going to continue operating in violation of federal law like we have been for the past 10 years.
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that one. So home.
Would you think every dispensary operator in California and Colorado is going to shut down because the state's going to come and shut them down because
I'm not saying the state's going to
Schedule 3.
All it's going to take is a massive letters going out to different landlords and whatnot saying that da 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 da. That's all it's going to take, and these people are going to be closing like flies.
They do. Why do you think it's so hard to find property?
To do all that. Yes, they could.
Exactly. Thank you, Omar.
Oh boy.
Thank you, Omar.
The trap is going to win.
Yeah, I mean,
the trap's going to win.
The best thing that every dispensary operator is going to be able to say is it's all THCA. That's going to be their only legal defense that they're going to have to say. That's it.
No, man,
close that loophole quick.
Yeah, you're gonna be able to get.
It looks like it's coming.
That shit ain't coming. Stop it.
And Oxy from your trap dealer pretty soon.
Oh man, you know what? And on that, we're gonna.